Yeah, we can talk about some of the
Keyonte
spots.
George, mostly I've seen him falling into the late part of the first round. Not a lottery guy any longer. It was looked at that. But, yeah, I'm glad that you corrected me because I totally thought that was next week. But he is still a first-round pick, I think, in most people's eyes, but it's just a matter of, like, how far he could slide potentially. You love his shooting ability. Maybe you don't love the defense as much. There's definitely room for critiques for a guy who's very young still, but it's undeniable the talents that he does have and the ability that he does have to grow more. So any thoughts on just, where you see him potentially or what you think about his opportunities moving forward here at the end of the week?
So I've seen him all over the place in drafts.
Right,
I mean, like in the 20s, he's fallen in some. I've seen him late lottery still, which, is interesting because I feel like as we've gone further in this process, it feels like he's going to fall. Like it feels that way. It feels like there's a chance he could be one of those guys who everyone thought was going to be in the first round and then falls to the second round. Like it's just been weird vibes throughout the entire, I guess, couple months. But ultimately, the ones that I trust the most still have him in that, late lottery to early 20s range. So I think that's probably where he's going to fit in, which isn't bad because that means you're probably going to go to a pretty good team. The Ringer has him going 13th to the Raptors. That would be a great fit in my eyes. They're about to lose Fred VanVleet. They could use a guard that can score, make some plays in that regard. So that would make some sense. I think the Nets could make some sense as well. Another good opportunity, good situation to learn a little bit more. But his draft stock definitely hasn't risen, like Sohan's did last year where it was like, oh man, people are starting to talk about him as a top 10 pick. Haven't really heard that with Keyonte. I think this is probably going to be late lottery, early 20s type situation.
Yeah, I just Googled his name just to get like the most latest update possible, and it's all over the place. It's like five. Yeah. Keyonte George could go here, and it's name a team. Toronto, New Orleans, Milwaukee. It names everybody basically because it's all just blogs predicting why he would fit for their teams respectively. So yeah, not a great feel for where he may go outside of just first round and not like top 10. But beyond that, it could be just about anywhere for Keyonte George. Adam Flagler, haven't seen nearly as much on him. I know there's a thought like maybe he could be a second-round pick, but I don't know how much of a percentage that's like sure thing. So it's more of a wait and see as far as he goes. And the NBA draft is strange because it is only 2 rounds. And then you also have the added dimension of not only the G League guys over these last few years, but the international guys for forever and ever now at this point as well. So it definitely adds to the pool of players and bumps some of the college guys around a little bit when you have the G League and the international guys also in the pool with you. Yeah,
it definitely does. And, I remember Jack wrote an article on this, so I'm going to run through a few of the landing spots. He had, so Adam Flagler, Wizards at pick 57, NBADraft.net had him at pick 45 to Memphis. So, again, second-round pick, maybe. Or goes undrafted. It's going to be something like that for Adam Flagler, but he has had multiple workouts, which gives me some confidence that we'll hear his name in the second round. Now, as far as Keyonte goes, a couple of the different ones, The Athletic has him at number 18 going to Miami. So that's one. Another NBA.com, New Orleans at 14 seems to be a pretty consensus type one. Oklahoma City at number 12 is another one, and the highest that anyone has him going is number 8 to Washington. So I think that's a little too high. Yeah. I don't see that. I don't see that happening. I think he's going to be in the teens somewhere or in the 20s. But again, I'm really walking on eggshells here because I have some of the things that I've heard. It's like there's a chance he might just completely fall out of the first round, which would be pretty crazy because most mock drafts do have him drafted, but just something to pay attention to, I think.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. I mean, just the slide that you've sort of seen in some of those selections, whereas he was pretty much a lock to be a lottery guy at one point in time. So, again, it's an inexact science, and look, not every mock draft has, like, 100% certified rating behind it. Like, honestly, we could just go throw up one right now and, somebody could look at that and think that that's, wow, that mock draft, who really knows except for the NBA folks themselves, but it does give you a nice gauge. And there are people, obviously, who are very locked in to the game and do have those mock drafts that are pretty reliable. So, yeah, depending on where you look, it's a pretty big gap, but he will be drafted. We do know that for sure, and where to and all of that will be fun to find out here in the next couple of days. So that'll be coming your way on Thursday on ABC ESPN at 7 o'clock Central Time, the NBA Draft. All right, so there's a little bit of what's going on with basketball.